How is it possible to learn without interruptions? To sit and learn, not get distracted with something else. It's called reciphos betira, which means a continual learning without interruptions. There's a story in the Gemara in Kesubos. The Gemara relates. Take a listen. This is an excellent story. Kesubos Samach Beis Amid Beis to Samach Gimel Amid Aleph. The fundamental story about the great Tana, the great sage Rebbi Akiva. Rebbi Akiva learned for 12 years uninterrupted. When he left the yeshiva and finally returned home to his wife, who of course wanted him to learn without interruption, he returned with 12,000 Talmidim, 12,000 students. When he reached his house, he heard an elderly man talking to his wife, Rochel. The man asked, "How long will you remain a living widow?" Not knowing that Rebbi Akiva was right outside and listening. Rochel replied, the obvious question is, if you had 12,000 Talmidim, 12,000 students, how would they not see the entourage? Maybe they were further back. Okay, interesting question. And Rochel replied, if it was up to me, I would send him back to the yeshiva for another 12 years. Boom! Immediately, Rebbi Akiva returned and went back to the yeshiva for another 12 years, and 12 years later he returned with a grand total of 24,000 Talmidim, 24 years straight learning without interruption. The obvious question that everyone asks on this Gemara is, why didn't Rebbi Akiva at least walk into the house and say hello to his wife, whom he hadn't seen for over 12 years? There are many answers to this question. We're going to offer a few of them. The Sefer, the commentary Tapuchay Zahav on the Torah, also as well as Rabbi Yecheskel Levenstein, answers that if Rebbi Akiva would have merely said hi to Rochel, to his wife, he probably most likely would have never returned to the yeshiva. Another answer is, even walking into his house would constitute as an interruption from learning without interruption. Wow. Let's do a little bit of math. 12 plus 12 is 24, correct? No, incorrect. When it comes to mathematically, it's correct. However, when it comes to Torah, explains Rabbi Yehoshua Cohen in Parak Beis of his Sefer Kerem Yehoshua that when it comes to learning Torah, 12 and 12 is not the same as 24. 12 minutes and 12 minutes isn't the same of 24 minutes straight, of 24 years straight. Typically in one's home, one doesn't have the same atmosphere of learning as in the Beis Medrash. When a person's home with his family with other distractions, okay, if no one's home, a person can peacefully do whatever he wants in the house. But if there's family there and everything, that could already be a distraction. The time that is designated for learning Torah has to be with zero distractions whatsoever. Rav Chaim Shmuelevitz, he's commonly quoted his explanation on this Gemara in his Sichos Musar on page Reish Pei. Hey, he explains that Rebbi Akiva knew it would be considered a big interruption if he stopped to say hello. Who knows if he would have returned to learn or not, and with the same enthusiasm and diligence towards his learning. Who knows? Even a small and brief, seemingly insignificant interruption could cause severe spiritual descent. The Artscroll on Pirkei Avos on page 176, the green Artscroll, quotes the story and explains that learning Torah is like a pot on the fire, a kettle. One could heat and reheat the water countless times, but if the kettle is removed before the water is boiled, all the heating is useless. You're just wasting your gas, you're wasting your electricity, depending on the pot, on the type of stove that you have. Another analogy is there was a 2 carat diamond. A 2 carat diamond is worth more than 2 times the amount of a 1 carat diamond. Torah is greater, יקרה, mefninim b'kol חפיציך lo yeshvu bo, like we quoted in the past in Mishlay in Gimel Tezvav. The Torah is more precious than all the pearls and all the gems and diamonds of this world. The same applies to Torah learning. Someone who learns for 1 hour, takes a break, and learns for another hour is incomparable to someone who learns for 2 hours straight. We might not be able to learn for 24 years straight, but let's talk about how much we could actually learn. 1 half hour and 1 half an hour is not the same as 1 hour straight. 2 hours isn't just twice as much as 1 hour, even though mathematically 1 plus 1 equals 2. Nevertheless, Torah doesn't work this way. The same applies to a chassan and kala, a groom and a bride. When they get married, they're equal to much more than two. Tapuchay Zahav explains this is why Rebbi Akiva had the same amount of students on the last set of the 12 years that he learned. The answer is because he interrupted his learning by going home. His decision to go back home caused him to lose some of the diligence that he had on his level. He therefore didn't quantitatively and qualitatively increase his students. Another analogy to explain and understand Rebbi Akiva, and this very important event is fruit that is prematurely picked off a tree will not taste as good as fruit that is properly ripened. Furthermore, this unripe fruit might damage one's body. Similarly, it is problematic for someone to prematurely leave learning and leave yeshiva too early before he ripens. It's unhealthy for the soul. Lahavdil, to differentiate and to distinguish, just like it would be problematic for a doctor to leave medical school years early, so too would be problematic to leave yeshiva too early. I once heard from someone, we don't take breaks, we break records. What fueled Rebbi Akiva to learn for 24 years straight? We already discussed that in the path. Every Rebbi Akiva, he looked at the rock. He realized that every single drop that goes into the rock day after day, that's what causes the hole in the rock. Something that is so soft could cause there to be a hole in something so large. The Torah said Rebbi Akiva could surely penetrate my soul. Is that what did it? No. The Vilna Gaon explains Rebbi Akiva realized it was drop after drop. That's what it was. So too every single word, every single little bit of Torah that a person learns, that will help the individual. That in itself is an accomplishment. He had a new belief and he realized that now that's not going to hold me back. We discussed the analogy of the king who said, "Oh, anyone who will inherit half of my kingdom and marry my daughter if you climb this 1,000 story building." But there were a lot of steps in between, and by the 80th floor, everyone dropped out. No one continued what they did because they said, "How are we gonna go 10 times more than this than what we already did? 9 times more than this? How are we gonna do it?" However, they didn't realize that there was an elevator that just goes to floor number 1,000 on floor 100. That's the siyata deshmai. That's the heavenly assistance that a person gets after he learns straight for a long period of time. Eventually, he gets heavenly assistance and he's able to tap into very high and lofty levels. We could apply this to our own life, similar to, let's say, a house is on fire and there's only a small amount of water. The whole fire can't be extinguished. One should still try to extinguish whatever he's able to. The same applies to learning. We should learn whatever we could, take whatever water we could, aka Torah, Ein Mayim Elo Torah, Gemara and Tainif Dav Zayin, other places as well. The Torah is hinted to and alludes to water. The Torah is compared to water. We could extinguish the fire produced from our Yetzer Hara, our evil inclination, by learning any Torah that we could. Any consistency that we could have should be applied. Instead of learning for 2 half-hour sessions, we should learn for 1 hour straight. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says, "Shamay oimer ases orasecha keva." Make your Torah set, make it fixed. In the first paragraph, a fixed practice. The Pharisee explains that this Mishnah is referring to learning consistently without interruption. Rabbi Yehoshua Cohen explains that learning without interruptions is much better than learning with interruptions. Rav Chaim Shmuelevitz explains that more is gained from learning without interruptions than learning for more time but with interruptions. It's all about the reciphos, continual learning, not taking the breaks, learning straight. That's what changes a person. That's amelus b'Torah, as we discussed, toiling in Torah. And this is going to wrap up the whole series that we're doing. This was a very long series. 40 pages I've typed up on this fundamental pasuk in Yeshua, v'hagisa bo yom v'laylo, which is on ink in the wall, the only wall part of this room that doesn't have svarim in it. Only part. Everything's svarim anywhere. Everywhere in this room. You got it. Boom. Except for there. This is what it's about. You have to live the Torah, sleep it. You have to make it a part of you. Mesikas HaTorah, the sweetness of Torah, Amelus HaTorah, the toiling in Torah, Avos HaTorah, loving the Torah, the oinish of bittul Torah, the punishment for not learning. It all comes all together beautifully. Why is learning Torah so important? Chashivos HaTorah. That Torah is the יקרה, is the main priority, priority one. This is all about the Hagisa Bo Yom V'Layla. Learning whenever we have moments to learn, it will change our life. Utilize that. Take advantage of it. Think about it and apply it.